When the river was deep, I didn't falter. When the valley was low, I still believed. When the mountain was high, it didn't stop me, no. I knew you were waiting. I knew you were waiting for me.
Welcome to Growing with Grace, African Americans on the Move. It's Monday morning. I hope you're telling your friends Grace is on. And this morning we have two wonderful guests, none other than Linda Armstrong, one of our favorite journalists, and the other is all-around handyman when it comes to theater technology, Meredith Waddy. So now I would like for you to meet my two people. We're going to talk about AUDELCO. And since I'm mentioning AUDELCO, I hope you saw the show last week. What a wonderful opening we had. It was with Perry Gaffney singing This Time. I mean, she sang it with such fervor, and every actor knows exactly what the song meant. Now, today we're going to talk about those who want to say, maybe this time I'll be nominated for an AUDELCO award. And before that, though, I'm going to ask our Linda to tell us something about herself and how she began and the wonderful work that she's doing in the past and what's coming up. So, okay, Linda Armstrong, welcome to our program, and tell us something about yourself. And may I say, she's a wonderful mommy of two beautiful daughters.
Well, thanks. So, yes, I have two daughters, and I'm married. My husband and I have been married for 28 years. And I have been a journalist now for 30 years as a theater critic. Mm-hmm. And it's something that I do because I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. I love the theater. I love being a theater critic that not only goes to Broadway and off-Broadway, but goes to a lot of black theater. Mm-hmm. Because it's so important that we support the black theater companies. Mm-hmm. You know, because we have to be there to support our own people because they're telling our stories in a way that only we can do our stories.
And may I just say, to back up, when we say AUDELCO, audience development, what we do is we go to the theater, we enjoy the productions in various categories, and then we select the best excellence in black theater, or people of color particularly, okay? And Linda, when did you start in theater? And when did you start writing? Because I didn't make that point very clear.
That's okay. Well, no, I mean, I started, in 1985. So I was a communications major at Hunter College. Actually, I was a double major. I was communications and English. And I did psychology. And so once I started doing communications, I was doing reporting. And they were stressing that we had to have clips in order to make it in the business. So I physically just went to the New York Amsterdam News. I told them that I was a student and I wanted to speak to the owner, who was Wilbur Tatum.
And may I say this, what is clips?
Clips, articles, sorry. So, our reviews, things that we had written that were published. So I went and I met with Mr. Tatum. I introduced myself and I told them I'm a student at Hunter College and I'm a communications major. I want to be a journalist. And he said, okay, well, what kind of writing would you like to do? What would you like to cover? And I said, theater. And he said, okay, go upstairs to the 4th floor to Mr. Tapley, who is our A&E editor, arts and entertainment editor, and tell him I said to start sending you out to shows. So I walked up the 2 more flights and met with Mr. Tapley, told him what my interests were. And it's funny, he started sending me to shows, but what he first sent me to were church basement plays, literally in a church basement.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, And so my mom would go with me, and we did this for a very long time. We went to the church basement plays, and then when you just go to regular black theater company plays, New Federal Theater, Billie Holiday Theater, Paul Robeson, a lot of the different theater companies, yes. National Black Theater. And I was constantly doing reviews of the shows and just wanting to be there to get out the word, to say that these companies are doing these amazing productions, Classical Theater of Harlem, all these different amazing theater companies, Hadley Players, just so many different amazing theater companies that were out there doing things that people needed to know so that they could come out and support them. Because to me, when you're a theater critic, it's your job to do several things. One, you're making sure that you go to see the work and you acknowledge the work that's happening. By doing so and writing a positive review, you're letting your readership know that, listen, this show is going on and you need to go out and support it. What I find with doing this so many years is that your readership will read the reviews that you write and they'll connect with the values that you have when you're looking at a show. And so if you say a particular thing about a show, it'll be something that they connect with, and then they'll want to go and support it because you saw this particular attribute about this show that they would be attracted to. I find that going to plays is just a rewarding experience. When I see a beautifully done production, to me it's like a gift from God, because to me what actors do, what playwrights do, what directors do, what the technical people behind the scenes do, what everybody does is they give you a gift because they take you out of your reality for 2.5 hours, and if they do an excellent job, you buy into their world that they have created. And you're sitting there and you're getting to experience it, and you're forgetting about whatever troubled you before you came in that theater, and that's a gift. I think that when people are actors and playwrights and all of these creative people, they are doing something that is a blessing to the audience, just so they do it well.
Yes.
You know, so I mean, I definitely appreciate that, and I think that part of a theater critic's job is to get the word out there, make sure that people stay employed, make sure that people get exposed to the message of the plays. Like when I go to see a Daniel Beatty play, I feel blessed every time.
Absolutely.
Because Daniel is amazing, he is marvelous, he is a quadruple, no, he's a 5-time threat, okay, because he writes it, he does everything, you know, it's like, this guy is, he's phenomenal, yes. So, you know, when you experience things like that, you just sit there and you're like, wow, you know, that somebody was put on this earth, and then I think it's beautiful that he was also discovered by Ruby Dianazi Davis.
Yes.
So when you look at that, you're just, what can you say? I mean, this is a beautiful thing. This guy was put on this earth to share his gifts with people. And so if this is going on, the public needs to know. And I'm here to make sure that they know. And like with a lot of the people that are nominated for AUDELCOs, their performances were beautiful. They were beautiful pieces of work that shows that these people are gifted, they are talented, and the storylines were so amazing to watch. You just sat there, they're things that you identify with, they're things that, you know, you've seen happen in your own family. And those are the types of things where, you know that these playwrights are telling our stories. And it's very important that our stories are told the proper way. You know, a lot of times people don't understand if they're not, you know, African Americans. Sometimes they don't understand where, like, some of the jokes come in or whatever the case may be. But that's okay. You can still appreciate the talent and, you know, the power that you're seeing on that stage. And as a theater critic, that's what's important to me, to make sure that my readership knows that this is going on, and I need you guys to come out and support it.
Oh, right. Now, you just attended an affair in Atlanta.
In North Carolina.
North Carolina, right. Could you tell us something about that?
Yes, I went to National Black Theater Network has their conference every year. And so this year, they had it at the same time that they have the National Black Theater Festival, which is, of course, in Winston-Salem. So I went down there, and they had asked me to actually do a theater critics workshop, because they wanted me to do a workshop and teach people in a crash course, basically, how to be theater critics. Because what these people were then supposed to do is to go out to the plays that were happening in the Black Theater Festival and National Black Theater Festival, and they were to write reviews. Those reviews would have then been gathered and put into a journal, so that the theater companies would have this record of their productions happening at the National Black Theater Festival. So what I did was I literally just sat down and I did a format of everything that you do as a theater critic from the time you come into a play and you sit down in the theater. What you're taking notes on, what things you're noticing. And, you know, what are the elements that go into a review. And then we had a videotape of one of the shows that actually ended up being at the festival, which was Maze Door from the Billie Holiday Theater. We watched that tape, and then we all talked about it. We went to a restaurant. It was so much fun. We went to a restaurant And we put together 4 or 5 tables, and there were like 22 of us sitting there talking theater. Oh my God, I was in heaven. And we're just talking about Maid's Door, and some people came to it. Some of these people, a lot of them were associated with colleges and universities. And some of them have theater backgrounds where they have done set design and lighting design, and so they came to the workshop from their own perspectives of their specialty. So they would say to me, well, you know, I thought that the lighting could have been a little bit different in this scene. And I said, but you know, in general, did you like the show? And they said, yes. I said, okay, so when you open up your review, you open it up with the positive thought about the show and the passion and the excitement that the show brought to you.
Mm-hmm.
You give that to the reader. And then later on, in the critique, you constructively say how, you know, the lighting in this scene, you would have done it a little differently. And you explain why you would have done it differently, because part of the reason that you're a theater critic also, when you have constructive criticism, is to help shows to better themselves. I think that's why it's important when you have people go to something like a theater festival and they're critiquing things, that when those shows go back to their home venues, that they can make the improvement based on, you know, the constructive criticism that they were given when they were performed, you know, at the festival.
May I just say this, you were talking about Maid's Door. That was last year's AUDELCO winner.
Yes, yes, it really took over the AUDELCO Awards last year, and believe me, the funny thing was that I had not seen it at that point. And when I received the tape from Jackie Alexander, the playwright, and I was viewing it at home, I said, wow, no wonder it won all those AUDELCO Awards. It was amazing. I mean, the storyline was very powerful. And, you know, it was one of those things that really touches your heart because it was about Alzheimer's.
Right.
And actually watching a relative, your mom, deteriorating. And, you know, to have this character of the daughter who is a very strong person and was raised by her mother to be strong and independent. And then, you know, had such a hard time in seeing her strong, independent mom now not being herself and not being able to take care of herself, and the frustration and the anger that the daughter had. But then you have to look at the situation from the mother's point of view too, and the suffering that she's going through. So it was really a play that touched my heart because my mom went through those same things in terms of the Alzheimer's and the dementia, and it was something that, you know, really, it just touched me because I totally identified with the storyline. And that's what theater's supposed to do.
Yeah.
Theater's supposed to look at a topic that is very real in our lives, and it's supposed to show it to the audience in a way that they can understand it from all the different points of view. And with Maid's Door, you understood it from everybody's point of view. You understood it from the point of view of the lady who was going through it, from her daughter, and even her granddaughter, who got to a point where she actually said, I don't want to go visit grandma. I don't want to see her. Does that make me bad? No, it doesn't make you bad. It just means that that's something you can't handle.
Right.
And really, if that's how you feel, you know, and in the end, the mother decided that, you know, she wouldn't make the daughter go to see the grandmother. But it didn't mean that the granddaughter loved the grandmother any less.
Yes, right.
You know, so, I mean, there was such a tenderness, and you know, it's the signature of the Billie Holiday Theater, because the Billie Holiday Theater, and that's what you learn as a theater critic too, certain theater companies have specialities. The Billie Holiday Theater's specialty is family theater.
Yes.
So their shows are appropriate for everyone in the family. And it's a beautiful experience anytime I go to a Billie Holiday Theater production, because I know it's going to be something that's appropriate for everyone. There's not going to be anything that's going to be, you know, offensive to hear or anything like that. And then you have companies like Classical Theater of Harlem, where you know they're going to do some great classical play, and you're just going to sit there like, wow, yes, of course we can do this work, thank you. You know, they've just proven it again, you know, so it's wonderful when you go and you experience these theater companies, you experience what Black playwrights are creating. When I went to see one of the multiple nominees this year for AUDELCO, While I Yet Live, oh my God, Billy Porter, need I say more? The man is amazing. Oh my God, oh my God, he is not just a Tony Award winner, he is amazing. His story, While I Yet Live, his personal story is so touching.
Absolutely.
And you just sit there like, oh my God. And then to watch Essie Pather Murkison play his
Oh,
mother.
yes.
And she is literally shaking and does it throughout the entire performance. How? I mean, wow, this woman is amazing. And when you see actors give performances like that,
Yes.
you can't help but sit there and say, oh my God, I have definitely just been blessed.
Yes.
I have been so blessed. And just the entire cast of that production, you just sat there, you were moved, you were touched, you just felt something. And see, as a theater critic, when I go through a performance like that and I experience that, it is my job to make sure that I convey this to my readership, that you guys have got to go and see this. Oh my God, you have got to experience this show.
Absolutely. And you know what, Linda? You just, I'm feeling your passion.
Yeah.
And we've all been there. And I mean, we've all lived certain lives. I mean, we've had problems, illness, sickness, dance, laughter, joy. When you talk about your mom, my husband, and when you can put that on paper and convey that feeling, and the person in the audience is watching, and they can identify, not just that they've lived it, but they know. They know, and that they know that what they're looking at is authentic. That it's so beautiful. Now, you've just had some idea of what this wonderful woman does and what she goes through. We're going to come back to her because I want you to know about some of the other people that are involved with AUDELCO, who are like my good friend Linda Armstrong. Did we tell them how you began? I mean, I know you talked about the Amsterdam News, etc. And but as a young woman, did you ever think that you were going to be?
Well, you know, the funny thing
is,
is,
or a journalist?
I started writing when I was in second grade. In second grade, I would write prose and poetry every day. And it's just something, writing has always been how I express myself. And I found a lot of times I might be uncomfortable to speak, so I would write down my feelings. And it's just something that has always been a part of me. Sometimes the feelings were dark. Sometimes my dad would say, what's wrong? And I'd say, nothing. He's like, why do you write these things? You know, but because some things were just very deep. And I'm not really sure why I would write some of the sad stuff I would write, but I did.
Thank God.
And writing is just the way that I've always conveyed my feelings. You know, from when I was a little kid, if somebody hurt me, I might not say anything to them, I would put it on paper. And I might not even let them see the paper, but I had gotten it out that way.
Yes.
And that's how I was able to express myself. So from the time that I was, you know, like I said, a second grader, writing has always been my outlet. And that's how I express myself. And, you know, so I knew when I went to college that I wanted to be an English major and I wanted to, you know, do writing. But it wasn't until I took the reporting class or communications class in Hunter that I realized, wow, this is great. I want to do this. And then when, you know, when Mr. When Mr. Tatum said to me, so Linda, you know, what do you want to do? I said theater. Because when I was younger, my mom had taken me to shows and I really enjoyed it. It was just nice to sit there and just focus on something else and just be taken away to another world.
You know, that's a perfect lead-in when we talk to our audience and we think about children. You know, we're watching a program that's adults, but children, you get some idea of what's on their mind and what their future may entail. And when I say to you, and when we have our AUDELCO awards, take a child with you, take a teenager with you. When they attend a theater program or production, they'll never be the same, because it's like you have an imagination that's in your head. But when you put it on stage and it comes alive and you see the lighting and the set design, how a place is set up, costumes, all of that, it's part of the creativity of that person who's doing the production. I mean, it's just absolutely marvelous. There's tech people. Now, when I talk about tech people, I'm going to lead right into Meredith Waddy. Meredith, can I just call you plain old, my buddy, my baby Waddy?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, tell us something about yourself and how you got started and some of the people you've worked with.
Oh, gosh, I've actually been blessed in my career to have worked with George Faison. I've worked with Lionel Hampton. I've worked with, of course, with Miss Jeanette and the Hadley Players. I've worked with the Classical Theater of Harlem. Oh gosh, it's
And you've worked with youngsters?
I work with young people. I actually set up a company where we train young people in what is known as entertainment technology, to teach them all that there is, all the stuff that goes on behind the scenes. I was talking, as Mom was talking about, the lighting design, the set design, the costume designs, not just the acting on stage, but the stuff that actually makes the piece work. Which is sometimes, of course, the unseen and unnoticed population. Right. I actually got into this by my mother having to work and going to work very early in the morning, and she had no place for me to go. So she went to the school I was attending and asked them, is there something that you can have him do here until school starts and keep him here? And the school agreed, and as it turned out, they needed somebody to be the audiovisual monitor. For those of us who are old enough, we will remember having to do the Pledge of Allegiance in the morning at school and getting the announcements over the loudspeaker. Well, I was a kid in my school who actually did that. And from there, I loved it and I guess I was the nerd. So of course they put the nerd in the background here. You know, you're not on stage, you go back here and you do the stage stuff. And wound up in junior high school doing the plays like The Mikado. We did South Pacific. We did The Taming of the Shrew. So I grew up on stuff like that. My mother made sure that we got to see Broadway, and King and I, and all of that other good stuff that we got to see. And I started to love it. I had a passion for music, and together I started to do things like that, and it started to grow. People started to see, well, he likes doing this, why don't we ask him to do this, and it just grew. And to where I got to a point where I started doing off-Broadway stuff. I have an opportunity to work on the movie August Rush with Robin Williams. I had an opportunity to work on with George Faison, of course. We just finished doing the 40th anniversary.
August Rush, was that the Impact Theater?
Yes.
What
yes.
a wonderful production.
Yes. That was done with the Impact Theater, which again is young adults, the young people played a major part in that. Had an opportunity to work on that with them, which was absolutely amazing. I had an opportunity to do some television. I did Law and Order: Criminal Intent. Where the people actually, as it would be, the gentleman who was supposed to do the lighting for them didn't show up that day. And I asked the director, would you mind if I did it? And of course he looked at me in surprise, and you can do that? And I said, yes. He said, so he asked me what he wanted, told me what he wanted, and I went up to the board and I put it in. And he said, can you hold it there? Yes, I can, right? And we kept it there. And they started to shoot. And as it was, I was in the shoot. And he thought that, no, you got to move over. And then he thought about it, and he said, no, stay there. Stay right there and just act like you're doing something. And that's what I did. And one of the episodes of Law and Order: Criminal Intent, you'll see my little figure back there, my little 15 seconds of fame. But that's how I got into this. I'm now working with Bishop Nathaniel Townsley on a production of Night Songs, which is a production where Saturday night meets Sunday morning. Right? That's coming up in December. Something that you must get to see. Right? working now with also with Curtis Farrell,
Yes.
just finished doing the McDonald's Gospel Fest
Yes.
with them. And of course, one of the nominees for the AUDELCO Awards that, I don't know if I can mention it.
Yeah.
I can mention it, okay, well, they misbehaving. But that's pretty much my story.
Okay, well, you know, I think we're almost winding down. We're going to have to do this in 2 parts. So if you don't mind, we'll continue chatting and then we'll pick up from there, all right? I just want to give a little more information about AUDELCO. You know, I'm Grace Jones, as you know, the host of Growing with Grace. However, I'm very, very active with AUDELCO, and it means a great deal to me. And on November 16th, we're having our awards presentation. So at the Symphony Space, and I wish that you would give me a call, 212-222-0206, and get information as to how you can take part and sing a wonderful, marvelous production of AUDELCO, the Viv Award. And if you remember, if you see someone without a smile, please, please give them one of yours, all right? We look forward to seeing you next week when we continue the conversation about AUDELCO.
On the main line,